let me try to string this together. If the council was interested in having you and the city pursue that, and we extended our policy COVID relief till December 31st, that might give you time to figure out how to tap into that grant and get things squared up, and then also give people time so they know in January we're back to the old rules.
Yes, that's when the CARES funding ends, is at the end of the year.
Okay. Annette, what's your thoughts on this?
That works for me. We have, as Linda said, budgeted to repay the utility fund from the general fund at whatever point that's determined. Although we don't have, an unlimited amount to do that offset. So I think pursuing the CARES Act reimbursement funds that have already been allocated to the city by the governor's office to make sure this would be an eligible grant, and use of those funds would be a good thing for our folks who are struggling, and to help get them through to the end of this calendar year. So I think we should look into it and see how we could structure something to help them through these next few months. But we wouldn't be able to do it after the end of December because that money is no longer active at that point.
Right.
And so in the example, in the article that from an Alaskan city that Annette shared with me this afternoon, or told me about yesterday, they had used the low income calculator, or anybody who qualified for assistance through the power company would then be eligible, and they came up with a dollar amount. We could do something similar, and I wanted to reach out to Delta to see if she had some ideas on how we might structure such a grant for qualification purposes as well. And I was thinking we could bring back to council some draft plan or a draft grant kind of program that you could consider and give us your feedback on, and we could see if there was any need out there that maybe we have missed in the measures that we were already providing.
Those are great ideas. Melanie, what's your thoughts on what you've heard tonight on this topic?
I think I'd like to hold off and defer before I say anything, if you want to move on. Thanks.
Okay. Before we move on to the recommended action, I would like to hear from you, so I'll let the other council members speak. Mike, what's your thoughts?
Bob, I would follow what I heard as your suggestion, which is to continue to December 31st and pursue the possibility of the CARES Act reimbursement.
Okay, thanks. Tom?
Same.
Tom said the same. Colby, what's your thoughts?
I'd be inclined to do that as well, I guess. Maybe a point of clarification with our with the funds we have available, the council, for reimbursing this, like what happens beyond the end of the year financially with that. So like between now and the end of the year, where these numbers are going to continue to increase that we're looking at here. What happens at the end of the year? Should we still be in a situation where we might deem this relief necessary? I guess, could you tell me what that picture looks like a little bit?
Well, the funds available to the city through the CARES Act, and it was a pro rata allocation based on population, is $119,000. We have spent for PPE and various other items that we have needed around the city and through city offices about $27,000 to date that we have captured. So there are some funds available, but what remains unspent or unallocated or unrequested for reimbursement at the end of December 30 would then go back to the state U.S. Treasury. And so after that time, unless the federal government provides some other additional relief, though that funding source does go away. That doesn't mean that the need goes away. I think we would have to, help me out here, Nat, but we would have to evaluate going forward how that might look.
Right, so if we use all of the funds that are in the city council budget for hardship relief, I think there's $5,000 in there right now. And then we still had additional hardship that you wanted to grant, then Linda and I would look for funds within, that budget or some other general fund spending account to reduce in one place to shift over to the hardship account. If that's what you're asking, Colby.
Yeah, kind of. I was kind of assessed where we were on that number. So I guess the funds available for relief would, from this point on, if we are looking at this, would be people would have to submit a request, a grant request, essentially to get assistance. Like, how does it work? Say I am a customer that needs assistance. What information do I have? What does this look like for me?
And that is the details that we need to work out, is trying to craft some kind of a grant process or selection process or criteria to be met. It has to be related to impacts of COVID. So just, low income doesn't necessarily get us there. The FAQ for the Corona or the CARES Act funding does talk about assistance for utilities. And as far as the CFAC committee and the Division of Financial Management is concerned, if we want to provide this kind of relief, it needs to be related to COVID and be operated as a grant process. So it has to be, I'm searching for the right word, but it just needs to be some kind of a grant that is made to the customer, because CARES Fund money cannot be used for income replacement to the city. But if we're providing assistance to our customers, then that's a different story. And so I don't really have criteria yet. I think Annette and I need to explore this a little bit further and talk about it. And as I said, I wanted to involve Delta. She has a lot of grant experience with writing grants, and I think she would be a useful resource to kind of help us craft something that we could that we could use to help our citizens, our utility customers. It's not a clear answer, but that's what I have right now. And if you have some further thoughts, you can please jump in. But
no, I think you've covered it really well. I mean, it's an idea that we came across after this agenda bill was written. So unfortunately, we didn't have time to put a full proposal together for you all to consider, but we're definitely able to do that if it sounds of interest to council.
I think it is of interest, right, Colby? You'd be interested in exploring that, and other council members?
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be worthwhile to to look into. I'm just kind of trying to wrap my mind around the continuation of what we have and what that means, I guess, financially for the budget. I guess if it stays on track, that's, what, so.
Seems like Linda has a pretty good handle on that, and I don't know, I feel pretty comfortable with this. I'll call it a transition strategy and the grant program.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Colby.
No, I'm comfortable with it. I think, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm not thinking anymore. It's been a long day.
Well, we're all thinking that way.
It
So
has-
Melanie, you want to chime in, and then we got to keep moving because we've got about another hour and a half of important topics.
I would really like us to keep moving.
Okay, so Annette and Linda, you've got direction from us, right? We're going to go with this transition strategy. You'll figure out the details and keep briefing us.
And extend the relief until the end of the year? Is that
Right.
what you heard? Okay,
Sounds good.
we can do
All
that.
right. Thank you very much. It's
Thank you.
been a very compassionate and well thought out what you've done to date, and I appreciate the good report. All right, our next item is to have a presentation from one of our high school seniors. It's Mr. Sean Carver from McCall Donnelly High School. And in the agenda, I believe we've allocated approximately 10 minutes or so for a presentation from Mr. Carver. Sean?
Mayor, unfortunately, it looks like that he is not on. Aaron has tried to contact him, so we don't know what happened. So we'll have to.
Reschedule that?
Yeah.
Thanks for the update, Bessie Jo. All right, we'll move ahead to our next topic, Agenda Bill 20-280, Stibnite Gold Draft EIS comment letter. And I noticed in the newspaper that the Forest Service has extended the comment period. So maybe someone can help me on that. What is the comment period now? Have they extended it into November or later in October?
No, Mayor Giles, they extended to October 28th, so another 2 weeks.
Okay,
So if you're feeling like this meeting is getting a little long for you, the draft letter right now, it was in your packet. I also previously emailed it out to council, and happy to have discussion tonight, but we can also bring it back on the 22nd to finalize it if you'd like. Up to you. And I did read it again today and realized I have a couple typos and things in there, so I'll definitely get that stuff cleaned up. But if you have any substantial changes to propose, that would be good for me to know for bringing back another letter on the 22nd.
all right, let's do a quick sweep. I would suggest if they're not substantial, that we, in the interest of time, that we do that, your proposal. I'm bringing it back on the 22nd. Melanie, you okay with that strategy, or do you have substantial comments on the letter? Stibnite Gold.
Oh, did we lose her?
Let's go to Mike. Are you okay with the letter, General?
I'm in full support of the letter.
All right, thanks. Tom?
Yes.
Tom's good with it. Colby?
Same here.
Okay. Melanie, did we lose you?
Nope, I'm sorry, I had to step away for a sec, but I'm here and I'm good with,
Good night.
the letter I've read was amazing, actually, and so I'm good with everything.
Good.
Well,
Thank,
Mayor, if you're
Thank you.
feeling like everybody's good with it, you could direct me to just get it finished and ready for your signature, and we don't have to bring it back on the 22nd.
what it
But-
sounds like.
Up to you.
Nope, let's do that. Sounds like everyone's good with it. Let's get it finished and get it turned in early. How about that?
Yeah. So
All
do you want
right.
to vote to direct you to sign this letter?
Is that what our agenda bill says we gotta do?
Yeah, to authorize you to sign the comment letter to the Forest Service.
Sometimes it's, yeah, you're right. We need a, thank you. Good catch, Annette. I look for a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the comment letter.
Mike, I make a motion for the mayor to sign the Stibnite Gold Project Draft EIS comment letter to the Forest Service.
I'll second that, Bob.
All right, a motion's been made and seconded to authorize the mayor to sign the comment letter to the Payette National Forest Service supervisor regarding the Stibnite Gold Project, the EIS. Is it, so it's been made and seconded. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Machete,
Yes?
Councilmember Holmes,
Yes.
Mayor Giles,
Yes.
Councilmember Nielsen,
Yes.
Councilmember Sowers.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes, and I'll look forward to signing that. Annette, you did a great job working on that. I really appreciate your hard work and folks that helped you. It's great.
Thank you.
All righty, our next topic is, next agenda bill is the COVID-19 update. So Annette, with Justin being out, you were gonna pinch hit for him on his data and then give your update on the COVID-19.
All right, one moment so I can pull up the email again. Okay. Statewide, there has been a spike in daily cases beginning in mid-September. We're back up under the highest daily totals that have occurred during the pandemic. For Valley County, Central District Health reports 103 cases today. And I believe when I wrote my monthly department report where I refer to cases as well, 2 weeks ago, I think we were at, I think there's been like 10 or 12 new cases since I wrote my agenda bill for my department report for Valley County. So we've still seen them coming in. Locally, we've been working with folks that are starting to do some more community events to review and approve COVID plans, because the events are either sponsored by the city or are being held at city property. For example, I believe tomorrow night there's going to be a free outdoor drive-in movie at our golf course parking lot. It's a fundraiser for the Shepherd's Home, and it's in partnership with the library. And they did submit a plan to us that was approved by Justin to hold that. So families can feel good about going, and it'll be a nice, safe environment. And a big thanks to Banyans. They'll be providing drinks and popcorn and stuff in support of that fundraiser. We also have Trunk or Treat planned with Parks and the Police Department again this year. We submitted our plan for how to conduct that event safely in the Alpine Village parking lot to Central District Health, and they've reviewed everything and signed off on it. So that's good news. That will occur. Let's see, we had our COVID task force call today. It sounds like even though new cases still continue to come back positive, generally it sounds like it's going well for businesses and other folks in town in terms of employees and not having big outbreaks in any particular place. The school district's still in a yellow category, but that is what they built their reopening plans around. And so as far as I know, they have not changed any of their strategies for how they're delivering instruction. And I think that is it. I can touch on, I was going to do it during the upcoming meeting schedule, but I can touch on it now. And that is, on Tuesday night, I did take the draft emergency powers ordinance to the Planning and Zoning Commission as you requested. They held a public hearing. They voted to move it forward to you. They did recommend one change to the wording in one section of the ordinance where it talks about the duration of any public health order that's issued under that ordinance. Right now, the language talks about it being up to 6 months. They recommended that it should be 45 days so that council would have to frequently review any order that's issued. And they also are recommending that the council hold a second public hearing before adopting the ordinance because they felt that the public may not have known that there was a public hearing because it was before P&Z and they wouldn't have known to look at the legal notice for P&Z for something like that topic. Since typically they only deal with land use matters. And so when we get to the upcoming meeting schedule, we'll talk about what that would mean if council does in fact want to hold a second public hearing at the council level and what dates we should do that. So that part of the process is done now. And that's all I have for the COVID update, unless you all have questions.
I think we're good with that update. Our next item is we have an opportunity to nominate a candidate for the Region 1 seat on the Idaho County's Risk Management Program, ICRIMP board, as we call it. There is a mayor that has indicated, his name is Mayor Garrett Nancolas, and he's willing to serve again. So we don't have to nominate anyone, but if there's anyone that would like to run against Mayor Garrett for a Region 1 seat, it has to be, help me out on this, has to be a city council member or a mayor? Is that?
Yeah, it has to be an elected official.
Has to be an elected official.
And from one of the cities that's listed.
In Region 1, which we are.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bessie Jo. So I am not interested in adding more duties to my current role, but is there anyone on city council that would like to run for this seat?
Nope.
Okay, that's okay to say no. All right. Hearing none, I think we can, we'll go with the recommended action, take no action to accept City of Caldwell Mayor Garrett Nancolas as the Region 1 seat nominee for the ICRIMP board. All right, that takes us then to the last item, which is the, well, before we go into executive session, the last item is the review of the upcoming meeting schedule. So Annette, let's talk about the item that you just mentioned, the emergency powers and whether or not we should have a second hearing in the interest of transparency and doing a good job on that. I think we're probably interested in, if that's what was recommended by planning and zoning, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't want to do that.
Okay, Bessie Jo, can you help me with those timeframes? We talked about that yesterday and you were explaining to me the publishing of a notice of the public hearing and everything. And I think if I remember correctly, that would mean that we would have to move this item from October 22nd to November 5th, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So it would delay your decision making on this topic by 2 weeks, basically. So if everyone's okay with moving it to November 5th and having us advertise that it's a public hearing and notice it as such, we will make that change to your meeting schedule.
Council, you okay with that?
I'm good.
Thanks, Melanie. Tom said he's good. Colby, you okay with that delay?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yep.
All right.
Okay,
And
we'll
Mike,
do that.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. So that'll be a change there. I also wanted to note that you did ask, or we asked and you approved, that the October 23rd meeting will be on October 30th instead. So we'll update that. let's see, the other items I think have been on here. But I did get a new request for a meeting invitation for the council that's not on your schedule yet that I wanted to ask you about tonight. Commissioner Dave Bingaman reached out to me and asked if the council would be interested in a joint work session with the commissioners and other interested groups on the topic of the Idaho Department of Land endowment lands, the Trident proposal, and what the land board is. I think his goal is to try to come up with some sort of joint statement to the land board about the disposition of those lands. And I asked him if he was wanting time on a regular work session night or regular council meeting night. And he asked if you would all be interested in setting a special meeting on a non-council day, probably during the day sometime. And he was looking at sometime in late October or November. But he didn't give me a specific date. I know they meet on Mondays, so I'm assuming it wouldn't be a Monday, but some other date during the week. So I passed that request along to you to talk about. I told him I'd bring it up tonight and get your feedback on whether you'd be interested in doing something like that.
Melanie, would you be interested?
Absolutely.
Okay. Mike?
Yeah, probably a function of finding the time, and also I think it's important as it relates to timing of what exactly is going on with the land board right now. My understanding is that Trident does not have, that they are not on the October, I believe it's October 20th meeting agenda, and they do not have a proposal in place. But I also think that we as a community want to be proactive on this subject in general. I also had a conversation today with one of the organizers of the Payette Endowment Lands Alliance group about the subject too. So I feel like we don't quite have all of the information that we need, but I do think that the collaboration between the city and county as it relates to communicating with Governor Little and the land board is very, very important.
Good. Tom?
Yes.
Tom's nodding his head. He agrees. I agree too. So Annette, I'll let you coordinate that with Mr. Bingaman.
All righty. And I had asked Michelle to stay on the line tonight for this subject because I think the indication is, one of planning, the planning, land use planning realm, which is, definitely her expertise. So I think between her and I and Cinda Herrick, we could figure out a way to set up a meeting. Did you want to add anything, Michelle?
I don't have anything additional to add at this point.
Okay. All right. So we'll work on that and hopefully have some dates that I can. Bill, is it okay for me to survey the council if the county comes back to me with like 2 or 3 dates and times? Can I just email those out to find out their availability without scheduling it on a council meeting?
The answer is yes, as long as they don't reply all. As long as they tell you what their availability is, that's not really deliberation.
Okay, so I'll do that, council. I'll try to get several different options from the county that I can send out to you to see your availability.
Sounds good. All right. I believe we are we need to make a motion to go into executive session. On our agenda, it has 8:50 p.m. the executive session, and it has the wording that we would need to read to make the motion to go into executive session. So I'll need a motion in a second.
Bob, I'll make a motion to go into executive session for land acquisition pursuant to 74-206 1C to acquire an interest in real property not owned by a public agency.
Thanks, Melanie. Thank you, Tom. Motion has been made and seconded. Go into executive session for the purpose of land acquisition pursuant to 74-2061C to acquire an interest in real property and owned by, real property not owned by a public agency. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Holmes,
Yes.
Councilmember Sowers,
Yes.
Mayor Giles,
Yes.
Councilmember Machesik,
Yes.
Councilmember Nielsen.
Yes.
All right, we are in executive session.
Mayor, one moment. There is one phone number on the line that I don't recognize. I don't know. It's 466-9272. Oh, they hung up. Okay. Did they?
972 is Bill.
9272 as well. Okay, good. I just want to make sure that it's just the council on the line. Alrighty, so I will sort of set the stage here, and then Nathan is going to get into the specifics. So as you saw in, pardon?
Stop recording, sorry.